We had some major events happen last week that are currently impacting our economy, inflation, interest rates, and ultimately real estate. We had two catastrophic hurricanes hit the entire southeast region, a very short-lived port strike affecting goods and materials being imported and distributed through the country, and third, a very bullish non-farm payrolls report that came out, which was inflationary in nature. For starters, let's discuss the catastrophic hurricanes Helene and Milton, both category fives, which caused an obscene amount of destruction and damage throughout the southeast. First, on the humanitarian side, our prayers and condolences goes to those that perished, those that lost loved ones, who've lost their properties, who are currently stranded without water or electricity. We pray for you that you get all of the resources, help, and materials to rebuild. Helene was such a large hurricane. To put it in perspective, in 48 hours, it dropped so much rainfall that it could have filled up all of Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is the largest lake in California. There's no way that the drainage system or the topography could have kept up with just that amount of rainfall or wind in that short amount of time. Obviously, those regions now are being rebuilt. There's contractors there, along with claims adjusters for insurance companies. There is going to be a huge demand on materials for improvements, whether it's homes, apartments, commercial properties. That means your wood, wiring, nuts, bolts, electrical, plumbing materials, roofing supply, HVAC is going to be in high demand, plus in high quantity orders into that region, thus putting a drag on our supply chain. Given our experience with COVID, the suppliers could not keep up. I anticipate the same, at least in the short term. Supply won't be able to keep up with the amount of demand, which will nationwide affect prices. If you're doing a home improvement, turning an apartment, getting another property rent ready, painting a commercial property, expect for prices of materials to increase, which is inflationary in nature. Second, the insurability of property insurance. There's going to be regions now of this country, whether it's in Florida, and we're starting to see it in California, is the insurability is going to be a huge issue. Is how much will insurance companies even pay out for rebuilds? Will it even cover certain items? And at what premium pricing will it do so? Expect premiums to increase. A lot of insurers will leave certain markets altogether, leaving a very limited amount of companies that will insure in certain region, and they'll demand a higher premium for less coverage. That's an increase in operating costs. Income may not necessarily increase at the same level. It's inflationary in nature. The second big report that came out was that of the longshoremen striking on the East Coast plus the southeastern ports. It was very short-lived, less than 24 hours. They came to a very short-term agreement, and that will take us through January 5th, at which time they'll resume negotiations or they'll start their strike, which could be prolonged. Biggest thing is they did receive a 54% increase in wages, which means that it will cost companies more to distribute the same goods we were purchasing out to the nation that were coming in through the East Coast and southeastern ports. Typically, when that happens, prices get passed through to us, the consumer. Expect to pay more on those goods and materials that get distributed from those ports. That is inflationary in nature. Increase in wages means that it's going to get passed through to us. Increase in prices for those goods, that's inflationary in nature. The last thing that came out was a very bullish non-farm payrolls report, which in August was about 154,000 once it was revised. Well, September's report came in at 254,000 in new non-farm payrolls. That is a substantial margin to August reports, and it was way higher than what Wall Street and bond and treasury traders anticipated. In fact, and that's inflationary nature. More people working, more people employed. The unemployment rate came down very slightly. It means people have more money to spend. Theoretically, they're going to put that back into the economy, pay down credit card debt. It's more liquidity into the market. At the same time, the Federal Reserve has dropped their federal funds rate, which is also putting more liquidity into the market, which is inflationary in nature. As a result, last week with all of this news, the bond traders, long-term mortgage rates actually increased. Although you say, wait, I thought the Federal Reserve was decreasing rates. They have, and they most likely will again. However, what they're doing is also creating more inflation because they're providing liquidity into the market. Expect that this news means that you're going to see longer term mortgage rates higher for longer, because the Fed's in a conundrum. They're receiving data that the employment market isn't doing so great, such as we heard from Boeing today that they are doing a huge layoff. Aside from, in addition to other large companies have laid off a large part of their workforce, yet we're getting non-farm payroll data that's saying, hey, more people are employed than the previous month. My recommendation is, if you have financing or you're doing financing right now with a lender, to lock in your rates if the rate makes sense. Maybe for long term, ideally negotiate the prepayment penalty away or downward, just in case mortgage rates do rally in 2025, 2026. However, do anticipate that mortgage rates, long-term interest rates, are going to stay higher for longer. If you ever want to talk real estate, your property, get a no cost, no obligation evaluation, talk market comps, please contact me at the information below in the newsletter or on our website.